Bet you didn't expect to see me this soon now, did ya? It's almost like I'm doom scrolling from one bad news to the other. One day you have Mattel release some of the arguably worst Barbie dolls of all time. Another day you check out the news to see that MGA, the toy makers behind LOL Surprise and Bratz, have to pay $71 million in damages due to supposed copyright and trademark infringement to hip-hop artists T.I. and Tamika Harris. The husband and wife duo conceived the R&B girl group OMG Girlz, who barely made a blip in the early 2010s and disbanded shortly after releasing a handful of singles, none of which ever came close to making a dent on the Billboard Hot 100. In this video, we're going to check out how the girl group nobody ever heard of was able to beat the billion-dollar giant MGA in court. What's it going to mean for the future of doll releases as well as the toy industry in general, and if it's going to affect any of the upcoming future releases by MGA, so stay tuned. There's a ton of chitter chatter and people taking sides on Twitter. I personally couldn't care less about a billionaire bleeding money, nor do I think that buying tacky clothes at Wet Seal and spray painting synthetic hard front wigs pink makes you original. I also can't with people who think they have a stake in all of this and love to be ride or die for a bunch of people who couldn't care less if you croaked. Like, calm down, it's not that serious. Last I heard, none of them pay your bills, so go on and have a seat. I'm more interested in finding out how we came to the point that we're at now. I do have to put out a huge disclaimer and would like to preface this by saying that I am not an expert when it comes to law and jurisdiction. This is a field that I have very little to basic knowledge of, if at all, so all the things that I'm going to be sharing in this video are simply my own thoughts, opinions, and views, and are meant to be taken with a grain of salt. But I do think that in this case, there are certain things that you can gather even without having any knowledge in this field. Hindsight is 2020, so let's put together the puzzle pieces and check out why the OMG Girlz were able to beat OMG. The timeline of events that unfolded is a little muddy, but can be traced back to 2020. At that time, Tamika Harris was shocked to find out about MGA's OMG line of fashion dolls, whom she felt had an identical appearance to a girl group, the OMG Girlz. According to Harris, one outfit in particular stood out to her because she personally designed the outfit for the OMG Girlz tour. It wasn't something that she picked up in a store, so for the OMG doll to have it on the exact outfit, she knew they stole it. But Harris doesn't really care to give the exact example of either what doll she's talking about or which outfit she supposedly designed for that tour. In an interview with Forbes magazine in 2022, Tamika Harris explained that on behalf of her girl group OMG Girlz, she first tried to approach MGA to work something out. After talking to her lawyer, she was advised to send them a cease and desist, which resulted in MGA Entertainment to immediately sue Tamika Harris herself instead. Now, two things struck me while reading this whole interview. Like, there's a healthy heaping of delusion running through Harris's commentary. At one point, she argues that the doll called Major Lady was disrespectful because everyone knows she's been calling herself Major Girl for quite some time now. Now, unbeknownst to her, the whole gist of that Major Lady doll is that she's based on David Bowie, British pop icon who back in 1969 conceived his persona of Ziggy Stardust as well as Major Tom. So there's really no point in arguing that Major Lady was based on a nickname that Harris had back in the day. In that same comment, she also argues that Major Lady was part of a girl group quartet consisting of 4 dolls, similar to her band Escape consisting of 4 members, which she thought was a bit too much. This level of delulu is truly something, let me tell you. Now, the other thing that struck me here too was how she attributed all of the artistic decisions to MGA's CEO Isaac Larian, claiming he, as a Jewish American immigrant from Iran, is appropriating and stealing from black creators and artists. Now, I can see where she is coming from here to some extent. Larian had it coming the way he handled accusations of theft by digital content creator Amina Mucholo back in 2020. Karma's a Mucholo claimed the look of a LOL Surprise toddler was based on looks worn by her and was met with a racist tirade by Larian on Twitter. The way that Larian handled that whole situation was just rancid overall. But attributing designs of dolls to a CEO of a company shortchanges all of the creative heads within the design team at MGA. It's also a slap in the face of the POC designers involved in the making of these dolls. Now, the 3 court cases between MGA and Harris. Round 1. MGA sued OMG Girlz, but a court decision said the girls weren't infringing upon MGA's OMG copyright. Round 2. Harris countersued MGA and Larian for $100 million, alleging infringement upon the OMG Girlz trademark. The jury returned a complete verdict in favor of MGA in less than 2 hours. This decision was overturned on appeal after a technicality rendered the jury's decision untenable. Round 3. A federal jury decided that MGA were indeed ripping off the names and likenesses of the OMG Girlz for the OMG dolls and awarded T.I. and Tamika Harris $70.8 million in real damages and $53.6 million in punitive damages. Now, what I personally perceive is the reason as to why the jury ruled in favor of T.I. and Tamika Harris in round 3 is the human factor. The jury probably saw how the Harrises are persevering against a billion-dollar mega corporation. The Harrises were seen as courageous for not giving up and standing their ground, and I do not doubt that they truly believed they were in the right. Money played a factor here, sure thing, but the way I see it is that at some point you just lose touch with reality and give in to your delusions. And you truly believe that yes, these dolls are copying my look, no matter how basic and store-bought it is, and some billionaire is making money off of my image. It doesn't matter if that was the case, which it really wasn't, let's be real here, but I think Tamika Harris and the OMG Girlz in the heart of hearts were really believing that it was. In addition to being the small fish against the big whale here, they're also deeming someone is out there profiting off of cultural appropriation and racism. Allegations that have to be carefully handled here, especially if a jury of average Joes is involved who do not want to argue against an allegation like this. So it's not a case of mega corporation against mega corporation like it was back when Mattel took MGA to court back in the 2000s when Barbie was fighting against Bratz. And with Isaac Larian as the head of MGA, you get a toxic mixture of arrogance, pride, cockiness, someone who won't take their opponents seriously, and is vengeful when thinking they're being wronged, and wants to always have the last word in matters like these. Which, again, for a jury of average Joes is probably less appealing to get behind. And while I do sound harsh, I can speak from my very own experience as a second-gen immigrant from Iran. I see a lot of Isaac's character traits in my own family. What I also think wasn't able to help MGA here is a lack of counter-arguments. To prove that looks worn by the OMG Girlz were not the basis for the dolls' designs, the design team at MGA would have to shoot themselves in the foot here by showing the mood boards consisting of the actual inspirations behind those dolls. Those are littered with pop culture references to real people. Picking out just a random example, you can see how the doll of Pop BB was clearly an amalgamation of looks worn by Madonna and Cyndi Lauper back in the mid-80s. That would then of course make the judges and jury question the originality of their products in the first place, or fuel to the fire and make MGA and its design team stand on shaky ground. It's going to be interesting to see whether MGA will appeal this court decision in the future. Now let's dive right into my personal thoughts and feelings in regards to how this is going to change things for doll collectors moving forward. And when it comes to MGA, I think that $71 million, if they end up truly having to pay that amount, is probably just drop in the bucket for a billion-dollar corporation. They probably just have to sell some assets and just reshuffle some things around. And when it comes to releases moving forward, if that's going to affect any of them, I think the releases in the near future have already been produced and are ready to go. Is it going to be the end of the OMG dolls? Well, I believe it is, and that was already the case. I think the OMG doll release schedule has already been shrinking over the past 18 months. We've seen the OMG doll aisle get smaller and smaller. Miniverse has been taking the place of the OMG dolls and doll aisles around the areas where I live in. The writing was on the wall already long before this court decision was made that the OMG dolls are sadly going to be ending. I do think that MGA is going to be careful moving forward when it comes to releasing certain dolls. I think what I fear is that this is going to be making designers and manufacturers and toy companies be even more safe and cautious. Not really want to end up making some very strange and interesting choices in the designs for dolls. So dolls are probably going to be more sanitized and tame moving forward. It's going to be sad for us doll collectors, of course. What I hope is that MGA is going to focus on their moneymakers, and maybe the fact that MGA does not have the OMG as the main money-making doll line anymore. They're probably going to be focusing more on Rainbow World, Rainbow High, as well as Bratz dolls. So maybe those are going to be even better. So yeah, I'm always positive. I'm thinking about the opportunities that things are going to open up for us. So who knows, maybe at the end of the day we're all going to be happy and we're all going to be looking forward to future releases. Now I would love to hear what you think about this court decision, if this was a fair decision to make, or if the jury was just out of their minds insane to have made the decision that they made. Sound off in the comments down below. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already, and I might be seeing you in my next video. So bye for now.